In YouTube land. How's everybody doing? I want to talk about the market and where we are in the marketplace today. Now, you'll see me that I'll look down at this camera. I have a few cameras going on here. I am on Facebook Live, and I'm also going, live to YouTube, which is great. I don't want to continue to talk about the same thing all the time, but I will tell you that I've been doing this for a very long time. Actually, when I started in business in 1996, people talked about this thing called recession. And 1996 really didn't know what it meant. The first time I ever felt anything was around 9/11. Around 9/11, obviously there was a downturn. It was like a bleep in the marketplace, and then 2008 happened, and then obviously I had to react, and fortunately I made the right moves. Now going back during these times, I keep thinking to myself, you know what would I have done differently in 2008 that I can do now? What can I capture? What are the opportunities that I can capture now that I didn't in 2008? And so let's talk about market cycles and how this works, because these market cycles are happening all the time, whether you like it or not. Okay, so at the very beginning, when things start to move up, this is called the expansion. This is part of this is a part in the market where things start to come alive. Expansion of credit creates people to start borrowing money. That creates infrastructure. Companies borrow money. They start hiring people. They start investing in new products, new ideas, and so everything's pretty much on the way up. And so during this expansion, and we've been doing this for a very long time, this expansion phase, you'll see a lot of real estate housing starts. Often, when you have a marketplace where they're going through an expansion, you'll see people that are gravitated to that area or that market. People are excited, they want to spend, easy to borrow, and so for the most part we've been riding the expansion. Now over here at the very top is stabilize. You stabilize, right? So you come to the very top, you often see that prices continue to go up and up and up and up and up and up, and now things don't make sense for investors. For a lot of people that are watching this that are in Canada, you see that, Vancouver was going through this. Nothing made sense. When cap rates are reaching around 4%, you know what? The rents that you can collect versus what you're paying for debt or, in terms of paying all the expenses, it no longer makes sense. And so the top of the market is the stabilize. And then you go into the decline, right? So then it's overexpand and you start to decline right here. You start to come down, and then at the very bottom is the recovery, right? And so you go, recovery, expansion, stabilize, decline, and then these cycles are happening all the time. They're market cycles, and so the last time, and because I've lived through this, and a lot of you might have remembered 2008, but not really, because we got hit. Real estate is always a bit of a lag, and sometime around November, December 2007. So 2007. This was the last time. This was 2007. And as you remember, this was let's call it December 2007, going into 2008, which now we all know and remember that the market went right into a recession. And so the things started to drop prices started to drop. Now, if you're from Canada, you remember that if you were buying apartment buildings during those years, you will remember that the financing was extremely difficult. Pretty much for apartment buildings, the only mortgages that they were allowing were CMHC mortgages, and they have a very strict model on how they operate in terms of apartment buildings. And so I remember during that time, thinking about why is it that the government of Canada, because CMHC it's a Canadian corporation, they have this strict model of multifamily, purpose-built. They have a strict criteria on how they analyze their numbers, and so and this is 2007, and so I remember just kind of following suit, and just I've adapted the CMH model as part of when I look at and underwrite properties. I look at it as, I'm CMHC. And so 2007, 2008, 2009, things, were dropping. And, somewhere here, let's call it 2010. So from 2010 to 2000, and so we went through that cycle again. So 2010 at the very bottom, the recovery. Let's talk about the U.S. right now, because Canada started to recover a lot faster. We didn't feel the full effects as they did in the U.S. And so now we're back to 2010 to 2020. So now, this now becomes 2020. And it's a natural cycle of 10 years, if you can see 9-10 years. And so how long is this drop going to be? Now, here's what I'll tell you. What's different about this particular recession versus any one that I've lived through or that I've seen is that we have a proper infrastructure. We definitely are taking care of our citizens. Right now, the governments of the world are stepping up and they're helping their citizens. There's a lot of benefits, relief. And so I think for the most part, that's a little bit different. It's possible that real estate, there will be a delay, right? So it's possible that when everything goes back to normal, when they turn the world back on, it's possible that that things will just kind of like go back up a little bit for at the very beginning, and then the market will drop. So what does this mean? Who's affected by this? Well, who's affected? The housing market, the housing. If you're sitting there with a single family house, you're going to see your prices going to come down. Duplexes, triplexes, because for the most part, anything from 1 to 4 units, a lot of these properties were bought with emotion based on comparables in the marketplace versus an apartment building, and we're talking about 5 units and up, where for the most part, a lot of investors analyze these apartment buildings as investments, and so it's all about the numbers. Now, who's going to suffer? I think people that are in major markets are going to suffer. When they were buying properties at 3 to 4% cap rates, things will go back to normal, right? So I don't question it by any means that you'll start to see maybe 6 to 7% caps in major markets. And so what I want everybody to realize by this graph is that these cycles are natural. They happen all the time. The only difference now is we have a better infrastructure to support our citizens. And also this was kind of forced on us, right? So, and if you don't think we're in a recession right now, we are. We're in a full-blown recession. How can we tell? Because a recession simply just means an economic decline, and that's what we're doing. That's what's happening. There's a decline. Now, it is kind of manufactured in some way, because it's actually happening as a result of shutting the world down like this, like night and day. And so it's possible that it's going to recover quickly, but at some point it's going to drop. And so if you guys enjoyed a lot of these videos, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, hit the bell, and I'll see you guys later.